You don't have to start studying baking to become better at magic. Yeah. So.
No. In Munich, it's almost no way around beer. Most of the time, I'm quite lazy, actually. I like to do nothing. You shouldn't get drunk before an official paid performance, of course. I hope that it was never done after.
Today I'm super excited to present you an interview with a fantastic guest, Denis Behr. Not only is he a great magician who amazes his audience in a close-up theater in Munich, Germany, but he also amazes magicians all over the world with his card magic. He wrote several books and released some fantastic videos on card magic. And apart from that, for almost 20 years he is running ConjuringArchive.com website, which is a fantastic research tool which allows you to find the origins of pretty much any magic effect in the world and find out in which book it was first published. If you don't know that website, then I highly recommend you to first have a look at that before you start watching this interview, because then it will make much more sense. In this interview, me and Denis had a wonderful chat about Conjuring Archive, its goals, about Denis and his way in magic, about beer, and about some magic fails. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or maybe a glass of beer and enjoy it. My name is Alex Romanov, this is Art of Impossible. Let's begin.
Hello, Denis. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've talked a lot about the history of Conjuring Archive and how you started it. My question would be, for a lot of people who start in magic and their first source nowadays is YouTube or just videos that they found online, the question would be, why do I have to know all of that? Like, what's the reason I need to know who invented the Travelers or who first published the Ambitious card? Like, what's in it for me as a person who is doing magic?
When you are starting out, it's natural to maybe not be interested that much in these things, but if you are sticking with it for a while, I think it's first of all just interesting to see where ideas come from and who contributed which ideas and so on. And well, as soon as you start developing your own ideas and maybe even are thinking about publishing them, then it's a requirement to get the history straight and make sure that what you have contributed is actually a new idea.
So how many visitors, maybe can you share some insights, does the Conjuring Archive have, like weekly or monthly?
Yeah, I mean, per day, it's about 1,000 different users. So that's quite a lot for such a niche site like this, which just lists references. It's quite popular. A lot of people use it.
But 1,000 unique visitors a day, it's really a lot, I must say, even for a not niche website. Do you in any way were planning or want to monetize that or get some profits, or it's just non-profits passion project?
Yeah, at the moment there's no plan. I mean, there's just like a donation button and things like this. And of course it serves like a bit of a purpose in making this free and helping people to study the history of the art, so that's also a motivation.
You started it as a way to sort your own library and your own collection of books, which is, we can see in the background, I guess it's only a small part of it. What keeps you still investing time and doing it today?
One reason is that it's never finished, so there's no stopping point really. You know, there's so much old stuff and new stuff that's published and that is not listed yet. So it's never finished, and so I want to keep going and putting more in it, and especially as I see that people use it and it's helpful for others and for myself as well, I'm looking up stuff there every day.
What would be your recommendation, like typical use cases, how you can use it, how magicians can use it, and how maybe you use it in your everyday?
First of all, of course, if you are thinking about buying a book, and it's listed there, you have a very detailed table of contents that you might use to make a buying decision and say, I like this, or most of it is not interesting for me, or whatever. And then when you are learning something, of course, if you have a special version of any plot cuts across or whatever, you can look it up there, and often there are references to other versions that are connected to this, and you can then browse the different categories and see what other people have been doing with the thing that you are playing with. So that's a good way to get ideas that you can use.
How many people are like working and contributing right now?
There are mostly one main contributor besides myself, which is Lorenz Scher from Switzerland. He did maybe, I don't know, thousands of entries, about a fourth or a third of the whole content. So that's a lot. And Harapan Ong from Singapore has also been contributing a few hundred of books. And then there are a few people like Yehuda Rauch and others that have done like a handful of things, and some are continuing, but a lot stopped because it's more effort than you might think. In the beginning you think, well, I just type down the table of contents. But of course, putting it all in the categories and making connections to the things that are already there, that takes a while to find your way around all the setup that's there.
Your first book was published in 2007, and then 2008 you also finished your math studies with excellence. And during your studies you also learned programming and started the Conjuring Archive project. Yeah, and also according to Magic Magazine, you also had time to party and have some beers. So it's my personal kind of wish to know, what's your advice to be so efficient and to manage so many things?
Well, there's no strategy, I guess. Most of the time I'm quite lazy, actually. I like to do nothing most of the time. But yeah, when I start something, I'm usually very, very strict and stick with it and then finish it more or less quickly. Just don't be distracted so easily, maybe.
So do you think that your studying maths help your thinking as a magician in any way?
I'm not sure. I mean, there are good magicians from very different and wide variety of fields, so I don't think it helps that much. I mean, there are some mathematical tricks, but usually the math in those is very trivial, so I don't think it's that necessary to be deep into math for any of it. I mean, there are sometimes like comparisons or connections where you say, magic is like cooking, or it's like physics, and then you can make some points that help, but you can make those points with any field. So usually I find those a bit trivial, those comparisons.
Yeah, I agree actually. You can draw this connection with any field.
Yeah, not usually helpful for those that are not into this field. And those who are, they already know it. So in baking you have the ingredients and then the presentation and so on. And yeah, you do. Yes. So
you don't have to start studying baking to become better at magic. Yeah. So
no.
You also do baking, as I remember, right? That's one of your.
I do. Yeah. Mostly because I enjoy eating cakes and pastries, and so I like baking them myself, especially like French style.
How big is your library actually? How many items you have?
At the moment it's like 1,700 books, and it used to be twice as many, like 3,500 or so, but I sold half of it because I simply ran out of space. So now I have space for some new books, but it's still a lot, 1,700, so it's still like 2 walls here.
It's incredible, amount of books, and you shrinked it from 3,400, which is crazy. Do you still believe that you can become a better magician from reading than from learning from videos?
I mean, most good magicians, I think, that are at the top of the game are also big readers of books and enjoy reading books. So I think it helps. It kind of it motivates you to find your own version and your own presentation and things like that. And so I think, especially for theory, reading is much better because you can read it and then make a pause, think about it, continue reading. And a lot of those points get lost, or they are not really conveyed in videos. So yeah, I think at least the combination is good. Of course, for some slides it's good to see them, but it always depends on who's doing them. If it's actually a good example, a lot of people are not the biggest sleight of hand guys, and then if you see those videos and do it like them, then it might not be really the best way to learn it. And of course, it's good if you enjoy reading just for fun. Most of the books I read, I don't want to learn any tricks from it. It's not for finding things from my repertoire. It's just because I'm interested in the book or the work of the artist. So I think that's a good way to look at reading or buying books. So not to find things for the repertoire. Because if I would have a trick from every book I read, I would have 3,000 tricks in my repertoire, and that's of course not what I do. Just reading them for fun is a good way to go.
Your famous trademark is having a beer, and if you look at your Instagram account, there are some amazing pictures, and also at some of your performances. So when did your fascination with beer started? Was it earlier than magic or later than magic?
Much later. I mean, magic I started as a child when I was 8 or 7. And beer was actually pretty late. Only when I moved to Munich for university, I started drinking beer when I was maybe 23 or so, which is pretty late. In Germany especially, where we can start drinking beer with 16 legally. So yeah, it was pretty late, but in Munich it's almost no way around beer. Also in the show in the theater and in some acts where I have officially a beer with me on stage.
Do you sometimes go for alcohol free or never? You just go for the real beer?
No, in the show I use normal beer. I've used alcohol free when I was sick or something like this. It's not a good idea to have alcohol, but usually it's normal beer.
So you mentioned also for the Inside the Vanishing podcast, you said that sometimes I have drunk audiences, like at Oktoberfest, but then I am drunk too. So if you notice that you had maybe one too many beer and you still perform tricks, is there some moves that you avoid because you know that probably you won't be that good at them, or you can do anything at any stage?
Yeah, I don't avoid anything consciously, so I just do whatever feels right. So, yeah, I don't really, I'm usually not that drunk that I can perform anymore. So if I actually do something, it feels like I can do it. And then I don't have really any restrictions. So I still do tricks using faro shuffles or false steals or whatever. That's not a problem, because most of those things I've done many times, so I can kind of go through it on autopilot. You shouldn't get drunk before an official paid performance, of course, but in informal situations, you do whatever you want.
So one great thing about Conjuring Archive, and I found it out from your lecture at the Magie Exquisite last year, that if you type a request which has no results, you will see a GIF of some magician failing or just some funny video. How many of those short clips do you have, and how do you collect them?
On the side there are maybe between 150 and 200 of those, and just by looking at magic videos, some on YouTube and some even some official ones, or some live lectures. They have some fun stuff, and often people send me those clips now.
Yeah, so then I suggest a little kind of game. I picked some GIFs which I found really good, and maybe we could just have a look together and have some questions, or maybe you can make some comments on them if you don't mind.
Let's have a look.
What's wrong with this?
Yeah, I think that was a French television show, and there's this floating cow which is so ridiculous. It looks stuck to the wall, which is what it is, of course. So it's just so ridiculous that I had to make this. I think it was Lorenz who found this television show. Yeah. It's still up on YouTube, I think, the whole show somewhere.
I would definitely love to have a look because I guess, yeah, floating cow is maybe it's actually a unique concept that was never done before and after. I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
I hope that it was never done after.
Okay, then there is this one, and I think you have lots of examples of this kind of videos
Oh,
with
yeah.
people basically not managing to do the Pharaoh shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharaoh Shuffle has a special place in my repertoire. I use it a lot. And I collect a lot of videos with failed Pharaoh Shuffles. So I think there are maybe only 2 on the archive, but I have more than a dozen or so. And maybe I put them all together in some way at one point. And it's, of course, especially funny as a GIF because it just goes on forever and
Yeah.
it looks nicely and you never get the Pharaoh Shuffle done. And of course, it's very relatable to most people who use it because everybody had like a little hiccup in performing the Pharaoh Shuffle at one point because of whatever reason. The cards are maybe a little bit bent or whatever. And yeah, so most people can laugh and feel with the performer in this way.
What's in, like, do you have any tips? Like, what should you do? Like, you just do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and somehow it just doesn't work. Should you just keep trying till you do that, or you know?
Yeah, I mean, usually the Pharaoh Shuffle cannot be replaced. So if a trick needs it in the middle, then there's no way around it. In the worst case, you have to stop the whole trick and do something else. But it never really happened to me. So I've been using the Pharaoh Shuffle for so long that there's usually not a big problem. Even if I stumble maybe for the first time, then it works the second time. So yeah, I guess practicing and using a good deck helps, even though after a while you can do it with almost any deck. But it's not an easy technique. So yeah, don't use it before you feel ready.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. Yeah, let's use it before you're ready. Otherwise, you will be featured on the Conjuring Archive. Yeah. with
Yes, and then send it
GIF.
to me.
Okay, next one isn't actually like, yeah, my question would be, what do you do if that happens? That's pretty horrible. I guess that's a,
Yeah, that was a floating table, huh?
yeah, that didn't
Kind of.
float.
It collapsed. Yeah, I mean, if these things happen, especially on television or whatever that was, some trade show, I guess all you can do about it is laugh and get on.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
it's just bad luck if somebody films it and puts it on YouTube.
Yeah, this was also a pretty good one with a
Oh yeah, that's very good. I think that's from an English magician, where the timing is off. I don't remember if he put it on YouTube himself or somebody else. But yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, and as someone who does splash bottle myself, I must admit I had the similar situation. So when the balloon wouldn't just pop,
Yeah.
and I would still get the bottle, and that's the weirdest feeling when you just did it and you're staying with the bottle and you have no clue what the people think because it's
Yeah.
on dealing with hecklers and spectators who are not behaving adequately. Was a pretty crazy example
Yeah.
of Tommy Wonder being attacked.
Yeah, you also find the whole episode on YouTube of this. I mean, this is apparently I don't know, a Swedish comedian or TV host, and he was trying to be funny here, and in the middle of the trick, attacked Tommy Wonder. Yeah, there are also some German TV hosts that are. I mean, a lot of them want to be the center of the attention in these situations, and then make tough comments or don't make the job easy for the magician. So, you have to know how to behave in a situation like this. I've never performed in a situation like this on television, so I don't know what I would do. I guess you just have to try to take the joke and be funny.
Yeah, or maybe learn some self-defense and martial arts. Just
Yeah, that might also be an
protect
option.
yourself.
Just fight back.
Yeah, fight back,
That's
exactly.
what David Williamson would do, I guess.
And then there are like 2 short clips from you. I just wanted to ask you, what's this with this move called and, with the fans, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a new shuffle. Yeah, that's a moment in a trick called Magic Monthly that I do in the show, and that's more or less a side gag at this point where I'm shuffling the deck in a funny way, and I made a gif out of it. So I'm not the one excluded.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's also like a few things that are, I think, not from the show, but where I do like a snap change, and that's filmed from the side, and it was on some local television show, and you just see how it
This
works.
is the next one.
Oh yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess it almost happens so fast that if you see it only once, you might not even notice. But they switched on the other camera for some reason.
Yeah, and they didn't really warn you in advance about that.
No.
So yeah. One last thing I would say, the great thing about your YouTube is also that you are like not ashamed of, or like not afraid of posting your very old videos. Some of them are really, really good. I really like this one, which was called the Denis Behr, and which is an example of some. First of all, it's great silk productions. They're super clean, I must say. And I guess my question to this is if you still doing anything like that ever, or was it just a one-time thing?
Yeah, I sometimes play around with things like this. I just like kind of the methods and how it looks. And yeah, those are the cleanest productions I've found for silks. I think they are both in a lecture note from Channing Pollock.
Really? Okay.
That came out in German as the Magic Hands series. I don't know even if there's an English version, but there probably is. And so those are from there. Of course, he produced a bird, a dove.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess you have to make it personal. So that's
yes. And I don't let it ask. So
to wrap this up, I have a couple of questions which are very short, and would be great if you could answer them fast, but you don't have to answer them short. So you can also elaborate if you want, but not necessarily. The first one would be: do you believe that magic is art, and why or why not?
I do. Some of it is art, if it's done by an artist in an artistic way, then it is. And a lot of it is not. But that's true for all art. So.
3 books in magic that you think every magician should read at some point.
3, if it doesn't or shouldn't be specific to card magic, then it would probably be the Books of Wonder 1 and 2, and Designing Miracles by Darwin Ortiz.
What is your favorite beer brand?
You can't go wrong with Augustiner, which is what I mostly have at home in Munich.
What is your go-to effect if someone asks you to show a trick in a casual situation?
It is most of the time the opener, which I explain in my first book called Brute Force Opener, which is a simple card location and transformation, and that's very quick and visual and has 3 effects, and that's what I do most of the time. Either this or Herbert, the Trained Rubber Band.
Which also has a Facebook page for those of you who don't know. It's a star.
And an Instagram page now. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that, so I will add links to the description. Top 3 magicians in history. What's your personal preference?
As I'm mostly interested in card magic, the 3 in this category for me from the 3 different lifetimes would be Hofzinser, then Vernon, and now Juan Tamariz.
Last one, and it's just my personal thing. I usually ask all the guests this question. Who was SW Erdnase?
I have no idea at all. I looked at most of the candidates that have been published, but no one is really that convincing, or at least you don't know. So, let's wait and see.
Any final words or any advice that you have?
If you have some fun videos, send them to me, like failed Pharaoh shuffles or something like this. And of course, if you're in Munich, come see the show and say hello. Then we might have a beer.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you will get some new guests in Munich and also some new visitors on the Conjuring Archive. Thanks, Denis. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.